Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. We're going to get into the community and see what the streamliners are saying, also what the public is saying. And also we have a lot of new subscribers coming over to Streamline Entertainment. People, I'm not going to use AI and perfect things. I'm not a perfectionist. I do like to be authentic and honest in conversation in what I really think. And I generally say what I believe, especially about the Jay Slater case and any other cases which is brought up. We have many great people who are on this case, like Wax and Filtered, Mamadi, Haley Comet, and Duncan, and they all give us different avenues on this case as well, and different thoughts, different beliefs, what they believe in. But they're, to me, a lot of them have been on this case since day one. I came back from London about 13 to 14 days in when Jay was actually missing, and it was a massive topic of conversation, and it still is now. I always believed that there was foul play in this case, and a lot of more people involved than what actually I first thought, and it is deeper and complex as well. But like I said, it is about the community. It is about what people think. It is about the streamliners as well and their thoughts. And I want you to make everybody a part of this case, in the sense that I want to hear what you actually believe in and your thoughts as well. Because like I said, we are a community. We all want justice for Jay. And I think people are angry how long this has gone on for, and we haven't seen any arrests. Right, let's get into it. So what I'm going to do, people, I'm not going to write and comment. I'm going to read them out and have ticks and hearts at the end of the day. The hearts are, thank you very much, okay? Just to let people know if they do get a heart, okay? Thank you very much. So, Jason, how you doing? I think you must be new to the channel, but thank you for coming across. What's happened? He stole the watch, then Abe said, I buy it off you, but the money is up in Masca. So we went back up there with them, then he gets cold feet and texts his friends with a picture of the knives. And he said he's got a marker on him, then he leaves. That's how they knew where they go to the cliff, hit him over the head, then take the watch and the knife off him, then chucked him off at the inquest. When he's saying about the knives and watch, they would have found anything, then that makes him look like a liar, even though he's telling the truth. Look, that's a pretty, it's a pretty good point. But what it is, Jason, one of the problems I've got with this is that Jay wasn't in a position to take a watch unless someone had put it into one of his mates put it into his bag as though he did took it. I can understand your point, but I just don't think he was at that time the Airbnb alive. And what happened in the time between, say, 2 a.m. after I'm leaving the club till 4, it's odd. And we must remember what the eyewitness said, that he believed that, which I'm gonna replay that next as well for the new users. He said that he believed that day, but that Jay technically died not long after the beach incident, and I do believe that technically. But like I said, and also there is no proof, visual proof, that Jay was at that Airbnb. Do you know what I mean? Unless there's evidence to come out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll put my hands up to it. But like I said, still, we haven't had any evidence that he was at that Airbnb alive. Thank you, Jason. Pinky Pup, how you doing? You've been with me for a long time, and thank you for supporting the channel. If the people who will knew Jay the most, his mum and dad, have both raised concerns about Jay's consciousness in that car picture, that is huge and should be taken seriously and investigated. I agree. It was very, very disturbing when I really looked at it the other day. It's very, very disturbing. And the way that Wax and Haley Comet were talking about it as well, they were really, really worried about him his consciousness in the back of the car. And I do think that basically they hurt him as well, and received punches to his face and more. To be honest with you, I think Jay did suffer, and this is one of the reasons why we want these people brought to justice. Whatever Jay done, he'd never ever deserved to die. We know he was no angel. Everybody sometimes has problems in lives. When you're young, everyone makes mistakes. It's a part of life. But the main thing is, we know Jay was no way near as bad as the rest of them out there. We do know that. Pinky Pup goes on to say, I can't help wonder if knives were mentioned for a reason, whether true or not. There is a strange container video in which it does look like somebody is holding a knife. That is true, Pinky Pup. That is very, very true. But like I said, again, there's no visual evidence. It's just say so at the moment. But obviously, if it does come out more in the run-up to the next inquest, which has been adjourned at the moment, then we'll just have to see how it goes. But it is bizarre. It's being mentioned more and more at the present moment. Thank you, Pinky Pup. Rachel Chadwick, I still believe he was injured and taken from the beach, whether it's over the watch. I don't believe he stole it. Rugs or money happened there. Yeah, I agree, Rachel. I do believe this about rugs. I was always told in the early days, I had thousands upon messages on different topics on the Jay Slater case. And a lot of the people from this area confidentially told me that it is to do with Brandon basically taking something from the area through someone else that was also out in Tenerife. And things escalated from there. And Jay was backing up Brandon, so something was taken on take. And I do believe along those lines, things spiraled out of control. Pinky Pup, has MWT forgotten? We were told by him originally that Jay was with somebody called Johnny Vegas. Also, does he not find suspicious authorities apparently can't locate the two key witnesses? If nothing was wrong, why didn't a just pass on Rocky's details to MWT during all their chats? Yeah. Especially, obviously, the coroner's court know Rocky's real name. I just don't get it. Who gave him that name? Where did this evidence come from? There's a lot of things that need to be ironed out by the coroner who's going to take this case on, because obviously the one who's on it now, it's just a bit of a mess at the moment, and it needs to be ironed out. And Duncan's mentioned it on a few occasions. Thank you very much for that. Justin, how you doing? Much seems to be made of the expression of selling the watch for 10 quid. I've lived in the area in Aussie and Riston, and a quid means £1. If Jay wrote that message, I meant £10,000, he would likely have written a 10 grand or 10k, not 10 quid. It's possible. But the other thing, Justin, that's a really, really good point. The other thing, Justin, why would there, be an argument around 10 quid? I personally think it was a lot more money than that. That one of the reasons why he was taken. That's my view anyway. For a tenner, he could probably earn that back in the night anyhow. This is my point, if he was obviously out there for business. Graham Miller, if he has evidence that Jay left for a specific reason and can prove for a fact this was an accident, why not give it to Debbie? Why not prove to the boy's mum that he left there by himself and stop her from grieving in a court to find out what MWD says he has? Well, he hasn't released it, so is it telling us that he hasn't really got it? Or, I believe that MWT has a little bit more than everybody else, but I believe it will show in his documentaries, in the summer, because like I said, it doesn't look like to me he's going to release any information anytime soon. I don't get it, because like I said, it's like he's dangling a carrot. Because, like I said, I think he wants to cash in on it. But the problem is, these documentaries being made and the different evidence and people talking up now, it could tell us a hell of a different story into what happened to Jay Slater. Pinky Butt goes on to say, I anticipate his story may be that Jay stole a watch and overheard Abe talking about the owner coming to get it back, so he ran away. There may also be mention of something to do with it being linked to somebody connected with the authorities there. There is what MW2 alluded to a while back when he contacted another creator who was told this following on from what we have recently been told by Joss. Said, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. But like I said, we know there was seemed to be an altercation, and I think that Rocky and Abe got into a fight, and that was possibly over a watch. We've heard that a lot of sense, but did it really have anything to do with Jay, or they're just using Jay as a front, as a bit of a decoy that he stole that watch? Who knows? But like I said, we're just speculating. Rachel goes on to say, well, he definitely spoke to Josh. Josh is the one talking about the picture with Knife. Josh is the one who sent the message about the watch and getting kicked out of the club. Josh is the one saying about the communications from Jay at the Airbnb. This where MWT got the info from. IMO, Josh was known to them before Tenerife. I don't believe he just met them. I mean, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because, like I said, Josh said that he met Jay going out there. If he met Jay going out there, he didn't know Jay before. But this Josh has come from nowhere. Why hasn't he really said? Yeah, I know people said there's messages that he may have written, basically, back when this case first started. But my point is where was he last month? Where was he the month before that? Why is it now he's coming out and basically, technically telling the whole world everything? It just doesn't make sense to me. I do think alarm bells have started ringing that he could be fronting for those who didn't turn up, of course, that claim to be Jay's friends. Thank you, Rachel. Joe goes on to say, yuck, MWT makes me vomit. And that stock footage of the searches, Marv. Yeah, totally. I just think he's in it for himself, to be honest with you. But I'm actually really let down by him. Thank you, Joy. Caroline goes to say, if MWT knows everything, then why wasn't he at the inquest giving his evidence? That's a very good point, Caroline. I just think he's dangling a carrot, and once again, it's to do with his documentary, I think. Marvin, my son, was saying, if you go on YouTube Shorts, there's a remix button you can use. It can play the sound of a video and other videos. 2 hennies to the head clip, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for that, K.E. The knives are not being shown as proof, just the word of newly added Josh. Josh planted in the inquest to be another voice. This is what I'm talking about, Joy, of an alibi Brad and the others. Unless you was actually with Jay that night and saw him fall to his death, then everything else is circumstantial. Bashed around to school and placed at point of discovery 29 days later. Yep. And like I said, torture has been mentioned, like I said, but will that come out at a later date by somebody, which is, I think, is a very, very basically important topic, but we're not going to go into that now. But, I do agree that this Josh was brought in, because where were the rest of them? You would expect at least to have Brandon there. Surely they would have got a letter confirming, can they be free the next 6 months, just in case they've got to go to the coroner's court. Don't make sense. Why not even one of them was there? Colin, how you doing? Thank you very much for that, Joy. Appreciate your support. Why does he deem the inquest yesterday not good? I thought we found out more things myself. Does he deem it terrible because it's not going to bite his narrative that he's been told from the witnesses he's supposedly interviewed? Yeah, he seems to be coming out certain points in this case. It seems like to me just to be relevant. I just don't get it, why he pops out the blue and why he doesn't. If he's got all these witness statements and he talked to Lucy on a regular basis, why not give us a timeline so we're not talking about the timeline? Why not give us stuff that he has got so we can write things off? It just doesn't make sense. He's one of the ones that wants to close this case down, but he's not helping us. That doesn't make sense. Justin goes on to say, MWT mostly wastes time, only cares about themselves and being relevant. This is what I said. He has withheld information just to help him and try and stay relevant. His thoughts are not with Jay's family. His only thoughts are to push his documentary for its own benefits. I find it very difficult giving this clown any considerations since his dismissal history in the McCanns and Bully case. It's nothing but for self-promotion. Thank you very much, Justin. I agree with you there. I think you're spot on. But I don't know why. What he does, you want to hear something real from him, but you're not getting it. It doesn't seem authentic to me. It just seems like it's just relevant rubbish that we've heard before, and we don't want to hear it. We want to hear the truth. That's why we're here. Someone's son had died, was killed, should I say, and we want answers because there's too many dodgy people involved who think they got away with it. I personally won't be watching his documentary, certainly not after his podcast interview. During a complete 360 doesn't wash. He's in it for the money. What good has he done for this case and cases he's been part of in the past? It's money for him, end of. Makes me angry. DTR is another one who has let the public down. It's just money making story for these people. Yeah, they are, because they've gone quiet and they've both done a 360 and they both want this case closed, and they've technically both said they don't want to hear anything else, which is fair enough. Look, everyone's got their own viewpoints. We're in discussion, but like I said, I'm fuming the way that he's come back on this case after telling us there could be criminals involved in this case, a criminal element involved in this case, which I always believed from the start anyway. Joy Wing, look at little Lil and James Marvin, a little boy who was murdered by his adoptive mother. Injuries to his head, consistent and similar, as he had fallen from great heights, likened to fall off a tower block. According to the doctors, the pathologists, so sad then I thought of Jay, whose head injury was likened to falling off a ridge into a ravine. It doesn't mean he did. That's a really good point. Thank you, Joy. Little Miss Madhead, well, all banks on Tenerife allow a 3k withdrawal per day out the machine. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And it's funny how Jay's bank account, he couldn't get any money back. I think it was being investigated for fraud, and that's why it was stopped. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate you. Joy Wing, Roman Hernandez is deceased apparently. Yes, I did hear catch up with Duncan and heard what he had to say, and it's going around the YouTubers. Thank you very much. Forever 19, thank you, little Jane. Haha, have you seen these views? Thank you. Get ready, Aston K gonna be next. Getting life any day now. Interesting. Jane goes on to say, isn't that what the coroner said, that Marv, he has adjourned it because he wanted the witnesses and the decomposing was not at stage for the time that needed looking at. I thought he said, always said to be odd that the panic and adrenaline Brad took the phone. Well, unusually, money, revenge, power, Brad, M-O-G-H, Mog of Light Loose. Brad must have liked Lucy. Yeah, I think that. I did hear that Brad liked Lucy. And I think it was said in a private messages that Lucy left with Brad because they wanted a cuddle up. That was one of the reasons why they left kind of early to go back home to the apartment. Interesting. Marie, how you doing? Long time no speak. They all think they're above the law. That is the rules, and they don't want to attend an inquest. They won't. They don't have morals, manners, of duty of care, and this is what the no-show has proved to the public. Very, very true. These people don't give a toss. They have no care or consideration for life or for Jay. If that was my best friend, I would not stop talking about it. Never. And I would be in front of the media. I would be talking to the police on a regular basis. I would try and raise money to get a private investigator. I would not stop. we've seen many cases where the families, until they get justice, they won't stop. Jason goes on to say she did know, of course, when the police went to look for her, they said to her dad, they sent a letter a few weeks ago. He said she never said anything about that to him. Yes, because she didn't want him to know. She wanted to forget about it. You know, they've sent this Josh to court to close this case down, and it's gone Pete Tong, because Debbie hasn't really got the answers in what happened to her son, because no one's talking. People like Ayub are coming out and going on these podcasts and making videos, but they're actually taking the P out of the case, which is sick. Jason then goes on to say, you'll get a letter week before the inquest with the date on it, so they all know. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jason. Lindsay goes on to say, maybe he was on the boat until the day before he was found and brought in via boat, as there is access. Yeah, I agree. There's also tunnels as well, Lindsay, which Ali Harris has looked into, and I wonder one of those tunnels take you up to the ravine from maybe both ends. That's something maybe we can look into. Joe Jones, how you doing? Lucy, Brad, Ayub and Rocky and Brandon should be subpoenaed to court. Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see what Brandon has to say, because like I said, he's the one that hasn't talked, and we know that he's been jumping into people's chats and looking at what people's saying but never says a word. That's odd. And sometimes when people don't speak, they're the ones that tend to talk about a lot, because they never come out to the media, which is very, very odd, considering was always around Jay and considered one of his best friends. Jane goes on to say, past getting is nowhere. You just do as you do. Dunk awful vids, Miss Boom Boom Boom, whom wax to a couple of others. Yeah, I agree. We just have to march on, Jane. That comment, not the leader, she's taken over as normal. She ain't put the passion in like you, and will tell her Mr. Marvin loves the world. WTF is he on about? I mean, look, one thing I respect about people who are on this case, they're on it for different reasons now. I'm on it because I truly want justice for Jay Slater, and I don't like people that lie about someone else when a life's taken, and it's considering. And the thing is, before the inquest, I really went through Debbie's videos, and the passion, the hurt that she wanted answers for Jay Slater was all there to see. Some people said it was fake and fake tears. It wasn't. It was real, and she's proved herself that she wants answers. So we're going to stand by them, and we've all got to get involved in some way. Message the coroner's court and say we're not happy with it. It needs to be more organised, and these witnesses has to be there. Some people write to MPs, because like I said, we've got to get these people in court at the end of the day, because they're going to do this to somebody else. Jane goes on to say, I've just seen Miss Ali in awful vids. I told you she's good. She's good, my beautiful peep. I bet that is Jay, Marvin. Yeah, I believe it is. This was the body found in Morocco. Dion, I truly believe that. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Dion. Gary goes, can't believe your next video is for people who have to pay using this Jay Slater case to earn money. No need. Well, no one has to pay for the videos. What it is that they're helping the channel fulfill basically its needs. So if people want to donate, they're more than welcome at the end of the day. And what it is, they see the videos early. It's a part of channel. You go through every YouTube channel, everybody does the same. Lindsay, hey Ali, Marvin, hope you're both well. Yeah, we're actually very, very fine. I know Ali's been a bit tired lately because she's been doing a lot on cases, so she's going to be resting a while over the next few days, people. I would say they are in Tenerife, IMO, ready for summer season. Have a heart, you all caused this. Jay did not walk off a cliff. Totally agree, Lindsay, thank you very much. Arrest warrants, Lindsay goes on to say, will be issued now. Interpol will be watching all airports and docks, ironically in Tenerife. The crew is back working the summer season. Passports will be taken off them and hopefully face recognition will catch them all in the airports. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Rachel goes on to say, in the Daily Mail article on Jay today, says that Lucy Law messaged Jay at 8:35 a.m. telling him to get back to wherever the fuck you just came from, which was delivered and read. Could this have been a warning? This was before her called at 8:50 a.m. and just after he spoke to Brad. That's crazy. That's crazy. Telling him to get back to. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But we know that Lucy knew what was going on. And did she knew that basically someone had come for him? But like I said, I do believe the timeline's a little bit off. I think what happened to Jay was a lot earlier than the times that Lucy and Brad have given an A up. Karen goes on to say, maybe Debbie has unfriended Brad's mum and the rest of them because of all of this. Yeah, I agree. That would be the first thing I'd do, Karen. Thank you. How could she go, Mike, how you doing? How could she go back to the same place to holidays with no nightmares at night while sleeping? I can't understand the mentality of the girl and her team of waster mates. She don't give a toss, Mike. She don't care. That's the problem. She just doesn't care. Probably no choice because she's in heavily. That's a good point. Sunset time. Nice to hear from you again. Anita goes on to say they're all liars. The so-called friends. Yeah, they don't know the meaning of the truth. Mona, MWT wants to hold the key to the case. Knowledge equals pounds and pence to a showman. MWT was played from the beginning. The narrative also always sounded like a primitive fairy tale, is easily taken apart. I've seen A-level drama students do a great deal better with creativity. The Watch, I think, was a smear of Jay dreamed up by somebody, and there is again in the mystery man's evidence in the court. The knives, like the biting cactus, and a little more bright yellow colour. However, what happened at the bank is significant. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That's a really, really good point there, Mona. The other thing is, I do think that these liars are very, very good at making up stories, and they expected us to believe this story. And one thing they didn't think is that this case would go worldwide and get out of control. Because, like I said, they were hoping that this was just going to go down as an accident and nobody could talk about it and they could get on their work. Because they're angry because we know who they are now and they're exposed. So if they do go out and someone else is hurt, people are going to be pointing the finger at them. Jane goes on to say he needs sectioning. They make me so angry. Yes, they do. Turn his face off, Marvin. I can't. Yeah. MWT is a knobhead, isn't he? Timothy, what makes think it could be Jay is that nobody has come forward and said this body is their family, and 18 to 20-year-old doesn't die and nobody cares. I think it's very good it's Jay, and the remains will return back to Tenerife at a later date. Well, the suspicion about it, Timothy, is that a reporter, as Ali said, had looked into this to try to get information who it was. And he was denied that, and that's suspicious in itself. This is why that a massive discussion was in place in that. Anita goes on to say they sparked Jay big time. Yeah, they did. They were watching him. Why wasn't anyone else as hammered as Jay? Thank you, Anita. Nicole goes on to say, 100% agree, someone knows something. Not a chance he had all them rugs, alcohol in his system and walked 3.5 hours. It's all bull. Yeah, it is. It is. It's I don't know how people can believe that. If this happened in the UK, most of them would be at the Old Bailey a long time ago. That's the truth. Thank you, Nicole. Evening, Marvin and Ali. Great work, guys. You know what I find bizarre? Question mark. They all booked holidays at the same time. That's hiding IMO. But if they are all have told the truth, and why hide? I'd love to be a fly on the wall at the inquest when they're all there. Justice for Jay. Thank you very much, Maura. Haven't heard from you for a while. I hope life is fine with you. And thank you. You've been with me a long, long time. Thank you, Maura. Good question, goes on to say, why would anyone take a body to Africa in a river when they could easily dump it at sea? It's nonsense. Yeah, good point. And why wasn't it sort of made sort of bigger who this actual person was? I do think there's a lot of a cover up there. Atlantic Blue, why would Barcelona have the papers of Morocco relating to the dead body found in the river Kenifra in Morocco, unless a Moroccan drug dealer that lives part-time in Barcelona has paid a lot to an office in Barcelona to say X, Y and Z? That's a really good point, Atlantic Blue. Thank you. Lucy also said in a text early on, Jay is not at the church. We know where he is. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. I think sometimes Lucy, in the times where Jay went missing, where she was panicking, I think she made a lot of mistakes there. Atlantic Blue goes on to say, Lucy said early on they will never find Jay's body. This is likely means that Lucy knew that Jay was dead. Jay's body, she likely knew that Jay had been taken to La Palma, etc., to have his organs stolen on the 17th, 18th and 19th June 24, and then taken to the River Morocco as part of their black magic ritual. Interesting stuff. Atlantic Blue, very deep stuff there. The body seemed to have been recently placed in the River Ribia in Kenifra around the 18th and the 19th of June 25, as the body did not look tampered with by the fishes, mosquitoes, rocks in the river, etc. The blanket seemed dry and was already over Jay's head. If the body had been there several hours in the river, it would have been wet and may have likely come off Jay's body. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Thank you for that. Carrie goes to work and holiday, more like. Yeah, I've always said that, Carrie. Carrying on from last year. Atlantic Blue, can someone translate the Arabic report written about the body placed in the Ribia River in Kenifra, Morocco, around the 18th and 19th of June? That seems to be Jay. I believe it is 100%. Sorry, I can't read Morocco, but I'll put some messages out there so basically someone could tell us what it means in English. The body in the river Ribia in Kenifra on the 18th and 19th, June the 20th, did look 99% like Jay. Zoom in. It seems like a ritual putting Jay's body in the river after they had stolen his organs by the Rug Gang. It makes a lot of sense, people, because like I said, Debbie did say some of his body parts were actually missing. So it does make a lot of sense, people. Lith goes on to say the whole story has changed again. Jay going back to the apartment, the 2 knives short to trouser, it's all lies, and I think it's starting to crumble. Yeah, and where are they all now? Haven't heard from them. Thank you very much for that. Rachel goes on to say, hi Marvin and Ali. I remember thinking at the time watching that distressing footage how he did resemble Jay. I know it was only a brief glimpse, but he looked slim, light-skinned, the short dark hair, the correct age bracket, and now you say that he had head injuries on the surface. It all fits. Ultimately, it's 50-50, but until his identity is known, how can we be certain either way, and how can we simply dismiss it? That's a really, really good point, Rachel. I think exactly the same as well. I do think it was Jay. Why the secrecy on this person? And, you know, the small write-ups, which mean nothing to us. Someone was found dead in a river, and yet we haven't really get any answers. And a reporter, friend of Ali's, tried to get as much information, and he was denied that information. Walker, that's me. They are in Tenerife for otherwise documentaries, or the next NRG is coming up, IMO. I think, like I said, it's funny, Walker, that's me. I do think that they're over there for the documentary and for business as well. Katie Dunks, no reason any involvement in the narco would need to come out at all. The inquest is about what happened to Jay from when he came out of the festival to when he ended up dead at the bottom of the ravine. Lucy allegedly role as narco dealer would be part of that missing time in Jay's demise, unless foul play was involved, which is the reality. It's about crime beyond the narco dealing. Yeah, I agree. But one of the reasons they don't want to have this conversation about what they're doing, because like I said, a lot of people now, I think in Tenerife, know what Lucy does. I think it's all part and parcel of who they are, business and Jay's demise as well. I think it does all come in together personally. Thank you, Duncan. I agree, Duncan. Jay died from serious head injuries. Yes, there were drugs in his system, but they didn't kill him. It would be hard to prove where he got them from. And in any case, the place is crawling with dealers. It could be one of many, but they are protecting someone. And how does that link to Jay's death? Yeah, I think, but there was a lot of big fish out there, a lot of gangs that have been mentioned out there. London gangs, Scottish gangs, Irish gangs, a lot of different gangs out there at that time. And I do think there were a lot of altercations as well. Money, rugs, I said this from day one. Yeah, I agree. Colin goes on to say, Lucy's mum could have easily made contact to Lucy. Lol. WTF. IMO, they got together to refresh the stories and they all match. I'm telling you, funny how every one of them gone silent and not around. Yeah. Afraid that the truth might come out. Thank you very much for that, Colin. Miss Wendy thought her parents have a place over here. They do. Apparently they do. It's funny how they've never come out and said anything. Colin goes on to say Miss Wendy, 1960, would have been difficult to get hold of Lucy through her mum. A simple call, defo interested to see them lined up saying what they have to say in front of everyone and be questioned deeper. Very, very true. This is what we all want. Anne Jones to Miss Wendy, 1960, I saw somewhere she used to stay with her grandmother who lived out there and got flung out. Interesting. Bad girl. Helen Young, makes me laugh how people have got so blinded. My A-up heard many creators over there the past few days saying he appeared nice lol. He knows how to play people. He is used to be questioning and will always remember what he said. He came here alive and left alive. Well done, Helen. I think sometimes people are taken in by him that he really tried to help Jay at the end of the day, but he wants to mug people off and he's done it for a lifetime. Molly, thank you. Marvin and Ali, appreciate you. Thank you too for supporting the channel. Katie Crossland, if there's nothing to hide, they would all be at the inquest, at the very least via video link. However, Brad, the close friend, would have changed his holidays for 5 not to show. It's just unbelievable. I feel so much for Jay's family, and they still haven't got the answers almost nearly a year later next month. Justice for Jay, Janet, I agree. Thank you very much, Janet. Katie, I noticed someone says just the other day how quiet Ayub has been. Funny that, yeah. And like, a few weeks ago, he had so much to say and was basically turning up everywhere, wasn't he? They need to be all arrested, Marvin. Poor Jay. They didn't give a toss about him. And that's the horrible thing, and it makes me angry. One can, Leon, how Lucy's affording all these holidays when I work all hours and can't afford anything. Where am I going wrong? Long story. That's a long story at the end of the day. I think we all know what Lucy's doing there. Thank you for that, Leon. Christine Bates, you're living as a law-abiding citizen. It might not get you a holiday, but you sound honest. Your conscience is clear. Be blessed. Very true. Great reply, Christine. Joanne Hill, thanks. Anne Jones probably having their AGM. Yeah, I agree. Meetings and more meetings. Tina Goonagool, how are you? Long time no speak. Been with me a long time now. I don't get how a supposed drop fall from 500-foot Rocky Mountain and the only injuries he had was head trauma. What about any other broken bones, whether bumping off the rocks or weighed down, or a heavy impact from that height would cause small broken bones, ribs, arms, legs. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Someone mentioned to me at the end of the day, is it possible that hammer attack had something to do with why Jay died? It's possibly, but the problem is that we need that video footage to prove that someone were being chased. Until we see that, we can't really sort of prove it, should I say. Emma goes on to say, not only injuries, they stated the cause of death was head injury. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Emma. I also said that one the day of the inquest. Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. Jean, how you doing? More holes than a J cloth. This case, cover it from the start. Set up most definitely. That's a good point. Crazy Cats laughing at that. That looks like a pretty typical Berber blanket. Interesting. Thank you, Pinky Pup. Jean goes on to say, too many coincidences. Think it was Jay, then brought back to Tenerife. I think so too, Jean. Emma, but for what reason makes no sense. Well, I think, like someone said, I think it was a sort of a ritual thing in then why they took Jay there. And then I think money was exchanged to get Jay back. I really do. And that's why the GoFundMe was set up. So how did the UK autopsy confirm it was Jay? Well, hopefully we're going to hear some more information on that. Well, I don't think that they could, you know, basically, I think we're more stringent here than what they are in Tenerife. I think his body would have been checked to say it was Jay. I really do think that. I think we would have gone through that with a fine comb, to be honest with you. But you never know, Emma. Helen Young, well, they would have confirmed it was Jay. It was him. The authorities are that corrupt. If the body had serious head injuries, it'd always go into tie in with the fall of great heights. Yeah, that's a good point, Helen. Lindsay, it would have shown water in his body. The person was named. I would express again anyone disrespect towards Marvin, Ali, the victims, and obviously the snatch and negativity. Thank you. Look, we just want justice for Jay Slater. I want Debbie to get the answers, and that's why they're here. You know, anyone, I said, 99% of the people support us. The ones that don't, there are other channels you can look up, or don't come to this channel. It's just as simple as that. Because, like I said, we're trying to do the Slews, your Duncans, Mama D, and many others, which are wax and filtered. We're trying to do the best we can and get answers and try to help the family out as much as we can. And this is why we've done hundreds of videos on the Jay Slater case. And if anyone wants me to go over anything that's very, very important, then let me know. And I could probably check that with Ali and other people that I'm in contact with as well. There are a good community of us, and we just want the correct answers. Joy Wing, the final message, what a farce. So it wasn't related to Jay Slater. How come? Chris couldn't get any report because the Spanish swooped in and removed the body from the morgue. Then no update, very suspicious, and got a refund. Odd. Very true. Yeah. Thank you, Joy. Even the body was handed over to another authority. This body was submerged in water. That's a good point. Right. Atlantic Blue, Helen Young, Emma, Claire Wade, Joy Wing, Jane, Little Miss Madhead, thank you, Lindsay, Helen Young, Emma, Jean, Emma again, Jean, Pinky Pup, Lindsay, Tina, Goona Girl, nice to hear from you, Anna Jones, Joan Hill, Leanne, thank you, Janet Fraser, Katie Croslands, you've both been with me a while now. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Anne Jones, Colin, Miss Wendy, Rachel, Dunks, Walk With Me. Do go and subscribe to K9 Dunks. He's brilliant on the Jay Slater case. Rachel Burrow, Lith, thank you. Atlantic Blue, thank you for your deep messages. And you've been with me a long time as well. Carrie. Good questions. New subscriber. Thank you. Moira, good to hear from you. I hope life is well with you. Nicole, nice to hear from you. Anita, Timothy, thank you for subscribing. Jane again, one of my mods, thank you. Mona, thank you. Anita, Sunset Time, nice to hear from you. It's been a while. Mike Jakes, brilliant support. Rachel, Lindsay, great support. Appreciate you both. Dion, Jane, Joe Jones, Lindsay, Jason, thank you for subscribing. Marie, how you doing? I hope you're well. You've been with me a while. Thank you. Joy Wing, Leslie, nice to hear from you. Justin, great support as always. Colin, brilliant messages. Joy Wing, Katie Crosland, Rachel, thank you. Pinky Pup, been with me a long time. Love your messages, great support to the channel. Graham, Justin, thank you very much all. Really appreciate you. Don't forget, subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. Think, you know, we need to all stick together on the Jay Slater case to get justice, and hopefully we will get that, and Debbie and the family too. We march on, people. Thank you.